Okay, on today's video, I want to take a look at a couple of things relating to social media. Of course, the two biggest are Twitter and Facebook. And what we're going to do is take a look at kind of where I am now. I do have accounts already set up and opened. I've been doing a couple of things just real recently to start to grow those, but I think it's still early enough where we can gain some pretty good lessons. So, and believe me, this is just me playing around a little bit. So as I learn, consider this the most current truth. If things change, I will definitely update the tools and show you what I'm doing as I'm doing them. But right now, I want to give you an idea as far as the start of this. And I think the best way to do that is go to the New York Times. And I'm going to show you the date just so we can kind of date this out. So far right here, Sunday, August 22nd, it's right about 9:17 p.m. On the East Coast. So here's where our starting date is. Now, the first tool I'm going to show you relates to Twitter. It's a website called Refollow. So REFOLLOW, Refollow. So refollow.com. And when you go there, you just log into your Twitter account. And this just takes you in through your typical password protected section. I'm already logged in through my Twitter account, so I'm just going to allow Twitter. This is where Twitter is just going to ask if I can have access or if it can have access, which I am allowing. And now it's going to open up Refollow. Now Refollow is a free tool. Doesn't really require anything. Just obviously, your email to sign up, but otherwise a free tool. And what it will do is allow you to manage your followers a little bit. You can kind of see what I like about it are these filters up here. So these filters are pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and you can see down here it's loading up right now. Now this is the Twitter account for my first 100. I have been doing the process that I'm about to show you for about 3 or 4 days now. So I guess about a week ago is when I opened this account up. I had 0 followers, obviously. Now up to about 100 followers or so. And I'll show you in just a second what I'm doing to gather those. Now I would also caution you too, I'm not one of those people on Twitter. Here's where you can see everybody. And what I'm going to do real quick down here is I'm loading up all of who I'm following. It'll load up 100 at a time just to sort of save it time. But you can obviously load up as many as you want. What I'm doing is the law of Twitter basically is if you follow, they will follow back. Not always, but in most cases. And so what I tend to do, the first thing is right now, as it's checked to my followers and who I'm following, and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to click on I'm not following. And what this will do is show me right now who I'm not following. And I'll quickly sort of look at that. Sounds pretty interesting, so I'm going to go ahead and follow them. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you can now see I am following one of 1 users. So that would also work if there were 100 people sitting there. I could actually select the page, select everybody. And I'll show you that in just a second. So first thing you do is obviously people that are following you, just sort of follow them back. It's courteous and helps you build a list. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to follow people who are, in my opinion, of like mind. Now, myfirst100.com is dedicated to those who are trying to really use the internet to help monetize and come up with an income source. And so what I've done is I want to pull up the users who are following, in this case, John Chow. Now, if you haven't been to johnchow.com, I'll be doing a little video cast on him a little later on. But johnchow.com, shoemoney.com, there's a lot of great websites out there which have a massive amount of free information, of which pretty much where I've gathered a lot of this data. So now his website talks a lot about making money with the internet, and that's really what it's focused on. So my thinking, of course, is I'd like to build a Twitter list of people who are into making money on the internet, who want to learn internet marketing and who have passions that relate to internet marketing. I am not interested in building a Twitter list of 1 million people that have nothing to do with internet marketing because it's just not useful. It might be gratifying to the ego to show a huge Twitter count, but that's not what I want. I don't want a ton of followers. I want a ton of the right followers. Okay, so what I'm going to do, right now it's loaded up, and I'm going to load up, let's say about 300 or 400 of his followers. This is another great reason I like Refollow. Okay, so I've now loaded up 300 people out of his 55,000. So obviously this guy's doing something right. These are people that I'm not currently following. And I want to put people that I've never followed before, because I want these to be fresh people. There are sometimes you can connect with people, and eventually Twitter will put limits on your account. So I've heard, I've not actually run into those yet, but I believe it happens around 1,000 followers where you just can't follow anymore without people following you back. So eventually I'm going to have to cut some of my followers and prune that tree. But right now, I want people that I am not following and I have never followed. I also want people with a picture. And my thinking is simply this, is if you've taken the time to put a picture on Twitter, then you've actually engaged with it a little bit. You've actually done something. And so I think you're a little bit more active. So now I've got people who just have pictures up. And then finally, I want people who are actively using Twitter. So for me, that's just somebody who's sent out a tweet in the last 7 days. So this will filter out anybody who's never sent out a tweet, or who tweeted 6 months ago, something along those lines. So you can see it takes a little while here, but once that check mark goes in, you'll see the boxes change down here of who those people are. Okay, so now we're all set. So I've got my filters set up, and you can see I don't quite have 100. I believe 100 is a completely full grid there. So, but that's okay. So out of 300 people, these are who I'm filtering down to. Now, all I want to do is select this page. I've got 96 people selected. I'm going to follow these people. Now, it does put up a little warning here because Twitter does want you to build a list and not use it to build 700 people at a time. So I'm going to hit continue. There was one person because it was locked private or I was already following, which is fine. And you can see down here my progress. So right now, 95 users that I was able to follow, and now you can see it's starting to automatically follow. So as this moves forward, and you can kind of see that count going up, I'm going to quickly switch into my Facebook. And I want to show you a start of where I am there. So this is my Facebook page. Now this one covers doitordon't.com. It covers myfirst100.com. So again, doitordon't.com had that free speed reading course on it, still does, and we'll have some other video courses as well for free. And then of course my first 100 is this blog that you're watching now, hopefully. Feel free to friend me on Facebook. Right now I've got 5 friends, and 3 of those came in the last, I'd say, 24 hours, which was Betsy, Dimitri, who's just a few hours old now, and then Mark is about 12 hours old. So about 24 hours ago, Betsy found me and sent me a nice little message. Hey, listen, looks like you're interested in internet marketing. Would love to connect. So I connected to her. Mark connected, of course, to her. He sent me a similar message, and then Dimitri knows both of them. So all of a sudden, he's sending me a message. For the longest time, I've had Do It or Don't up for, I guess I've had this account up, I should say, for about a month and a half, almost 2 months now. And Eric and Kelly are the only 2 people that had friended me. Eric was just somebody who I thought was pretty smart, had on his Twitter account, instantly direct messaged me back when I had connected with him on the Do It or Don't Twitter account, but had messaged me back and said, hey, listen, let's connect on Facebook, which I did. So that was a nice way for him to build Facebook. Right now, I do not automatically direct message people, but that's only because I don't know what software to use yet. So right now, there are currently 5 friends. And the way that it seems that is a really interesting way to go about building friends, and I'll kind of click on this one here. Gary Vaynerchuk, definitely another guy I'd recommend meeting. He is, or at least learning about, he's phenomenal when it comes to, here's his website right here, VaynerMedia, GaryVaynerchuk.com, which he's got a lot of great keynote speeches on there, most of which are rated R. So if you have kids in the room, don't listen to his stuff. But otherwise, he's a phenomenal guy to talk with, and he will really tell you like it is. I put little comments on his wall, not only so that he can see it, but obviously just so that other people can see it as well. If they like it enough, they'll click on my link, and of course that will show them the friends that I currently have and take them back to this page. So I've also set up a couple of groups that I plan to use. I have the one for the internet marketing group, and I also have one for the free speed reading videos. This is more of just a support group for the people who have taken the free videos or free speed reading videos and want to get a little more help on them. And of course, the internet marketing group is going to be a support group for everybody on my first 100. So feel free to join that as well. Other than that, this is just, again, what I wanted to kind of show you. Now, the basic premise I showed you over here. Let's go back to refollow. We're almost done following those 95 users. So the basic premise on building a Twitter account, I just showed you. So we're going to follow. Within a day or so, I'll have a lot of these people following me back, and perhaps some of their friends as well, which is kind of nice. And so I would expect that I would be up over 100. So right now I've followed 95 of 95 users. That is now updated. We'll click back over here. So I would expect hopefully relatively soon to have that back over 100. So that's refollow. I'm going to close this out. Now let's go ahead and take a look at Facebook. Now the Facebook account, we're going to find some more people. So Betsy's into internet marketing. She's actually got a pretty nice site over here. Again, don't know her personally, just recently over. Frank Kearns, there's another guy. And I will be doing a little blog post to introduce you to some of these people if you haven't met them already. But again, Frank Kearns is another great person to get to know on the internet world. So we got a couple of friends in common. These are obviously how these gentlemen had found me. And now let's go through and invite a few other people. We're going to add John as a friend. John. Alright, so I'm just going to send a quick little note to John. Looks like we've got a similar interest when it comes to internet marketing. Would love to connect, and of course if he publicly denies me, that's okay because it's being recorded. So, and of course there's a few more. So now I really haven't played a lot with Facebook, so many of you watching this are probably geniuses when it comes to this, and maybe there's a better way to do this, but right now I thought this was pretty interesting. So I'm going to go back to Betsy and play the law of averages here a little bit. Stephen obviously is into social media networking. And let's add him as a friend too. I like the, just for me personally, when I'm receiving these personal messages, it makes me a little more inclined to connect because I realizes that you took the time to look things over and see how the connections are and to consider mutual interests, and I kind of like that a little bit. So I would recommend doing that. Okay, something short, sweet, and to the point. And perhaps than randomly clicking, I'd rather find people that are active. So you can look on the wall. Maureen, let's check out Maureen. She's an Australian, been interested in some internet marketing. Quite a bit of fun stuff on the wall. Okay, so there's a few different ones right now. You kind of get the basic idea here. So right now we're going to go back home in our main Facebook page. And looks like, as far as I can tell, Stephen's already accepted the comment. So there you go. I went from 5 to 6 friends. Lucky me, and thanks, Stephen. You're probably don't know you're on video, but I appreciate it. Needless to say, what I'm looking for is people of like mind and of similar passions, because those are the people that I really truly want to build relationships with. And to be honest, they're the ones that are going to interest me more. And by default, hopefully I'll be able to interest them more, and we'll have a lot in common.